Yo, what's going on, CZN fam? I'm Sue, and in this video, I want to talk about the November 15th update for Chaos Zero Nightmare. This, as I'm recording this, has only been up for about 10 minutes, give or take. Previously, I made a community post talking about that there would be a patch sometime today or tomorrow, and I felt like there wasn't enough of just the notice to go off of to make a full video, but now that we actually have the full patch notes in front of us, I feel like it's actually worth making a video. Overall, I think it's a nice patch. There's some great quality of life changes in here, but if you've been looking for certain bug fixes or localization, fixes, or maybe a buff to Yuki, you won't really find it here in this patch. What we did get, though, is a lot of changes to Zero System and how it applies to Laboratory Zero as well as Galactic Disaster. So now, all of your Zero System upgrades will apply to Galactic Disaster's Chaos, which honestly makes a ton of sense when you think about it, right? You've been grinding for the last couple of weeks Zero System to get attack boost, defense boost, health boost, increase your rare frequency drop rates, and for none of those bonuses that you farmed, right, to carry over to the new content feels like a major disjoint, and it also just makes the content needlessly harder. So this is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, for people who are saying that they like the challenge of it, they added 3 new difficulty levels to Laboratory Zero. Previously, level 8 was the highest. Now you have 9, 10, and 11, and they have access to some pretty sweet first-time rewards for the shop. Chaos Orbs will now be added as rewards to Laboratory Zero Chaos, so you can basically improve your Zero System tree if it's not already filled out, or just get some Chaos Orbs in order to actually be able to go infinite and keep farming these levels over and over and over again in order to get your ideal deck. So this is another good change. Normal rare species will now appear in Laboratory Zero Chaos. Good change. Penalty rules in the Laboratory Zero Chaos will now be updated. So this is basically saying that, like, from level 5 onwards in Laboratory Zero in Galactic Disaster, things like max HP reduction, enemies get vigor, you take HP damage over every single turn, stuff like that will now be applied to this mode, since essentially they are integrating it with Zero System when you think about it. They've also changed a number of choices here for not only Laboratory Zero Chaos, but the Dimensional Tunnel. And I'll be honest, you could read these at your leisure, but what it boils down to is they got rid of a lot of, like, the rare item, decreased stress, small increase to max HP rewards, and just change them completely to get a Divine Epiphany or get a actual Epiphany. So for people who are complaining that it was too difficult to get Epiphanies in Laboratory Zero, this has basically been adjusted. They've made it significantly easier for you to get Epiphanies, get the actual upgrades that you want while playing Laboratory Zero. So that way it doesn't feel a lot worse than basically the 5 planets or so that we've been farming for Zero System in the last couple of weeks. They've also changed some equipments, 5 of them here, as well as 3 card types. So Nerve Hacking Module. This previously only would give you a buff when you used a forbidden card for 1 turn. Now it persists for the whole battle, still stacking up to 2 times. Incomplete Carapace now says at the end of your turn, if you have at least 3 cards in your hand, you get a shield as opposed to 5. Unconfirmed Recovery Ampule now says when you use a forbidden card, not only do you get healed, but you also get a shield. Dopamine Injector. This one, the language is a little bit, finicky. If I get this wrong, you can let me know down in the comments below. Previously, it says when drawn with an ability, plus 20% damage amount for 1 turn. My assumption is this is just the 1 card that you draw gets plus 20% damage. Now it is just all damage sources are plus 20% when a card is drawn with an ability for the 1 turn, stacking up to 2 times. Mutant Predator Spike. It used to proc whenever you had 6 or more cards in your hand, which is a bit difficult to do unless you have, like, Recharge or any of these other, like, really broken draw cards. Now it's just when you have 4 or more cards in hand, so you should be able to at least get access to 1 move with the damage amp, making it a little bit easier to actually use. 3 card adjustments. These are all forbidden cards. I'll just save you the time. Self-generating experiment, forced learning apparatus, forbidden algorithm. All these cards gain the lead keyword. That's basically the only real change to this entire thing. It's just they all gain leads, so they're easier to actually use. And then this is probably the most important thing in the entire patch. The memory fragment sets, the 4-piece sets, they all got buffed, although it's a very minor buff. So the Spark of Passion, this is the fire set for, like, Maylin and stuff, or Veronica. They've changed it now. When you use an upgrade card, instead of giving you 15% extra damage to the next 5 passion cards, it's 20%. So it's a 5% increase. And that's basically the tone for all of these 4-piece sets. The Void set now gives you 20% damage increase for 1 turn when you exhaust a card, up from 15. The instinctual growth set, when you have 4 more cards in hand, you now get 20% extra instinct damage as opposed to 15%. And then the one that has changed the most is the Bull of Order set. When you use an attack card previously, you get 5% attack stacking up to 3 times. So you get 15% for 3 cards. Now, when you use an attack card, you get 10% extra damage stacking up to 2 times. So it's a 20% increase. Overall, I think of all of these, Bullet of Order is by far the best improved one. It might be worth considering on Yuki. It might be worth considering on Hugo now, as opposed to just going 2-2-2 as the sets, or a 4-2 set with some of the other options that are out there. So overall, this one I think is the biggest change, but it's largely just a very minor change, give or take. There's also a couple of very small error fixes, nothing too crazy, nothing too game-breaking here. And I just find this one is really funny. They never credited Kayron's voice actor, so he's credited now, which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, that's basically it for the emergency patch that they were trying to push out. Overall, amazing set of quality of life changes, some good fixes that should make Laboratory Zero feel a lot better to play. But I think some of the big things that people were hoping for weren't really addressed in this patch. And, you know, if that's you, let me know down in the comment section below. How do you feel about the entire patch? And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of the week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.